Pastor James and I were talking and texting earlier this week, and I always appreciate how he helps this congregation have a focus and a purpose. Of all the invitations I get to speak at different churches, Pastor James is best organized. He's got a focus, he's got a purpose, and it's really nice to be part of a church and to worship with you because you are on purpose. And as you take a look at the focus that you're involved with now, as you begin to look at the whole direction that you're attending, seeking to thrive, what a great focus for a New Year emphasis. Because that New Year is all about choices. Now, it's odd that we wait for January 1 to make new choices. Anybody make any resolutions? Oh. You don't make resolutions here? Well, we've all given up because typically we make the resolution, we break it. But it isn't an annual cycle. It's a daily cycle that we engage in with choices. It is your choice. Choice is a freedom that God gives to every one of his creatures. All of us created beings have the power to choose what we will do with our lives, to choose how we will respond to what happens in life. The choice is ours. And the focus I want to embrace with you today is looking at that choice and to recognize that that choice has a basis. And this is going to be part of a focus on what you can choose at two levels. What you can choose personally for you, and what you can choose corporately to do for others. The choice is at two levels. My role at Florida Hospital, I'm the Regional Vice President for Missions, so working with all the churches in the community, working with all the hospitals in the community. Have you heard of something called Mission Tampa Bay? Mission Tampa Bay is where we have all the Adventist churches, some 1921 of them, together embracing a mission that we can do together to make a difference. Instead of First University making a little difference here and Carrollwood making a little difference here, let's do something all together to make that difference. And to be partners together with Mount Calvary, with Thanatosasa, with all the different churches to work in concert together. The very first initiative that we're undertaking happens to be in the month of February. What's the month of February known as? Heart Month. The lady wearing red. Heart Month. February the 14th, gentlemen, is what day? No, it's Sabbath. But it's Valentine's Day. Do not forget. Chocolates and Sabbath and Valentine's go well together. The Heart Month is a national focus. The whole country thinks about the heart in the month of February. The hospital is doing a free health screening, not on the 14th, but on Friday the 13th. And it is available for people to come. They're going to meet with doctors. They're going to have their heart checked, their blood drawn. All will be free. And we thought, how can we help that happen? What we're going to be doing and what Mission Tampa Bay has agreed to do with the hospitals, we're going to partner together. So you'll be having bulletin inserts announcing that, and you're invited to come. But you're going to get enough invitations that the Pathfinders and others can take out to your neighborhood and say, come. Now, what's that going to do? That's going to say that the Carrollwood Church is interested in the health and well-being of their community, and you're making possible their attending a free cardiac screening at one of the best institutions in Southeast USA. The Pepin Heart Center, we're doing tests there and trials that are only done in 8 other places in the world. I mean, this is high-end stuff. When you take something on behalf of Florida Hospital, which is an Adventist institution, and people say, wait, you're Adventist too, you begin to connect, don't you? People begin to get a picture that who we are and what we're doing is about helping the health of this community become better. Now, many people may not be able to go to a screening on a Friday, right? I know I'm working. But what's to stop you from having a screening on a Sunday or on a Tuesday night here and inviting them to come? First, invite them and let them know you're connected, that we're connected. Then go out and invite them again to come, because the hospital supports what we're calling the Congregational Health Network, where we will help you do ministry by helping you with equipment, with materials, and help you as you identify people in the congregation who can run a blood pressure cuff, who can do a weigh scale, who can do a finger prick. How many of you have ever pricked your finger on purpose? Good, there we go, we got a volunteer right there. I just took a group down to Belize in December, and we were doing health screenings, and we were teaching churches how to do creation health outreach. Every night I'm preaching in the churches, all kinds of different communities. And the churches in Belize were always struggling to do something that is outreach that isn't about arguing. Sometimes when churches reach out, it's to argue. This is the Sabbath day, I'm right, you're wrong. Very much a case down in that culture. We said, why don't you just go out and say, you have diabetes, here are some things that can help you live healthier. You have asthma, here's a way to live that will help you live with a healthier life. Here's how to keep your children well. And oh my goodness, they're absolutely thrilled to see a way to reach out. We know, and Sister White advises us, that when Jesus reached out to people, he didn't reach out by saying, hey, brother, you're a sinner. He reached out by saying, what can I do for you? Do you need some water? Do you need some food? What can I do to help you? And then as people got to know him, he said, come on along, follow me. We need to go out to our community and find out what it is we can do to help and how we can support them. So watch for this. Pastor James is coordinating this for Mission Tampa Bay. And I was just talking with Manushka, telling her that we've got over 4,000. The churches are saying we need 4,000 pieces of literature we're going to walk around. That's a lot. If you touched 100 homes in your neighborhood, that's 100 more people who know you care than the day before. And if you keep doing that, and then inviting them here, all of a sudden, Carrollwood Seventh-day Adventist Church becomes a place that people know has health and quality information, and there's a relationship. And that becomes a way to support, because it's good news. How many want to be sicker in 2015? Put your hands up, please. All right? How many want to be healthier? We all do. We all do. We say that, but then we choose to have the fettuccine Alfredo with the white sauce and key lime lemon pie for dessert. And we say, I just can't help myself. Yeah, we can't. We're going to talk about that, okay? So it's your choice. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, Moses is wrapping things up. He's ready to go off the scene, and who's going to take his place? Joshua. Joshua is going to come in. Deuteronomy means the second giving of the law. That's what the title of the book means. It's the last of the Torah, the 5 books that Moses wrote. It's the recapitulation, the summary of everything. What you find in Exodus and Leviticus, you find in Deuteronomy. 10 commandments in Exodus, 10 commandments in Deuteronomy. The second giving of the law. Towards the end of that book, he says the following things. I call heaven and earth to witness against you that today I have given you the choice of life or death, blessing or curses. So he's not calling other people to witness it because those people are going to pass on. He's calling those things that will never change. The heavens above and the earth you're standing on, they're not going anywhere. They're the witnesses that this day I'm reminding you of the choice you have, life or death, blessing or curse. You get it? Oh, that you would choose life, and that you and your children might live. Choose to love the Lord your God and obey him. Cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days. You will then be able to live safely in the land the Lord promised your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses pleads with the children of Israel then and with you and me today to choose life. It is a choice, and it is your choice. It's not a choice the government makes for you. It's not a choice that your employer makes for you. It is your choice. And you're free to do whatever you want. Another famous passage was given by Joshua when he said to the children of Israel, as they're ready to go into the promised land, he said to them, choose you this day whom you will serve. And the choice is what? The gods of your fathers and the lands from which you've come, or Yahweh, the one who has delivered us. He said, it's up to you. You can do what you want. This is what I'm going to do. Me and my house, we're going to choose the Lord. You're free to choose. And the choices you make will result in blessings or curses. You know what a consequence is? Here's a consequence. You're doing 50 miles an hour through a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and there's a policeman with a radar gun. The consequence of your choice is ticket. How much are those tickets? Oh, he knows. They're a couple of hundred. Well, thank you. We just outed you. There's a consequence to choice. Have you ever said, I'm not going to do that again? Have you ever said, instead of focusing on what I'm not going to do, I want to start doing this? Those are choices. If we choose to be careful with our money and manage that carefully, there can be blessings. If we don't care and we don't follow, when we max out our credit cards because we want what we want when we want it, there'll be consequences called bankruptcy. There are consequences to our choice. And life is one of those tests where we live daily to choose how to glorify God and to follow him. So Moses tells us to choose life. What has he told the people earlier in the 5 books of the Torah? What instructions has he given them about life? Choose to follow God and it magically appears? It just happens? What did he tell them about the food they should eat? What was the choice? You've got the herbs and the plant-bearing, the plants to eat. You can also eat meat, but there were clean foods, clean and unclean. It's your choice. The first diet was a vegetarian diet. The next diet was accommodation because all the vegetarian stuff was gone, so they started eating meat. Gave them that, so he taught them that. What else did he teach them? Did he teach them about agriculture in those first 5 books? Yeah, you read them. It tells you how to plant an orchard. It tells you how to bring forth a crop that is bounteous. It tells you that you should rotate the crops on your fields. So that if you're planting soybeans in this field and all you do is grow soybeans in that field forever, it will soon deplete the land. You've got to rotate your crops. Put your legumes and then your grasses and other things. That's all in the Bible. He tells them in the Bible that when you have a fight with each other, you've got to follow a law and a principle to forgive. Our legal system today is based upon what Moses taught them about life. He taught them in the Bible about relationships. When you've got your farm and you've harvested your crops, he says, don't take it all. Leave some for the poor. They can come and glean. There's nobility in their work. He taught you about tithing. He taught you about all those things, whether you should be a lender or not. And he says, don't be a lender. Don't borrow. It's all there in the 5 books he's talking about. In those 5 books, he talks about how we should care for each other. Who said, love your neighbor as yourself? Who said that? Yeah, you know it's a trick question. Jesus said it. Where do you first find it? Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's right there in those 5 books. He taught people how to be healthy. He taught them that, in fact, the first public health. What's the first public health story we find in the Bible? People had leprosy. What was done? They were quarantined. Why? Because they were bad people? No, you wanted to protect the healthy people. They looked after the people with leprosy and fed them and clothed them and provided shelter for them, but they separated them so that the healthy people could stay healthy. Leprosy today is known as Hansen's disease. A friend of mine worked at the leprosarium in Louisiana. Hansen's disease, leprosy, can be cured with antibiotics. It still exists in the world today, and we've got all kinds of antibiotics, but we're not reaching them. He taught the people about personal health and hygiene. Brother, you're walking down the road and you see a little bit of roadkill. Man, it's not a bad-looking deer. I mean, I'd take that home and cook it up. Moses says, you touch that puppy, you now are unclean. And what do you have to do to become clean again? You got to wash your hands. And if any gets on your clothes, you got to wash your clothes before you can come back in. This is 5,000 years ago. He's telling us this stuff. Today, what is the number 1 cause of hospital-related infections? My brother right there. Dirty hands. People not washing their hands. We teach our nurses and our doctors to wash your hands as you're walking into the room, and after you see the patient, wash your hands as you walk out of the room, and when you walk into the next room, wash your hands again. I want every patient to see their doctor and their nurse doing what? Washing their hands. Now, we give them a foam, a disinfectant foam. But still today, some people aren't washing their hands. What's the best way to stay healthy in the flu season? Wash your hands. Wash your hands. It was in the book 5,000 years ago, and we're still not doing it today. In the book, he tells us about surgery. You know, all the Hebrew babies were to be, male babies were to be circumcised. That's surgery, right? A newborn baby today stays in the hospital for 3 days and then goes home, maybe, or maybe the same day. The Bible says that the male babies were to have their surgery on the 8th day. Why not the 7th day? That's kind of like, 7's kind of the big number, isn't it? You know, 7 days, you have the circumcision. Whoa, that's really cool. Today, when a baby is born, they're given an injection of vitamin K. Anybody know what vitamin K does? Sorry, dear? Clots. Yeah, it's the clotting factor. So that it'll keep the child from having an umbilical hernia or bleed, and it helps those things happen. So, of course, in the day when the children were born in Moses' day, they gave them a shot of vitamin K, right? No. But in the physiological development of a newborn, what naturally peaks on the 8th day? Vitamin K. Vitamin K naturally peaks on the 8th day. That's the day they can withstand surgery. Before, the child could have bled to death. On the 8th day, they can do it. Who would know that but the Maker? This is not something that's cleverly devised myths or arbitrary thoughts. This is about life, and Moses is saying, I've set this all before you. In fact, here's my challenge to you. Go and read the 5 books of the Pentateuch. Moses wrote Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. Go and read them. Now, the book of Numbers can be a little tough as you're going through so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so. Don't give up. Read Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy. If you have the book Prophets and Patriarchs, Mrs. White's first book, The Conflict of the Ages series, do you have those books here at the church? Read Patriarchs and Prophets. Get the big picture. Moses is talking about life, and it's your life, not just their life. Choose life. A people on purpose choosing life. Do you know what entropy is? Entropy is the stuff that makes rust happen. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics that says when you put things in order, the natural direction of the universe is to cause them to go back to chaos. So you build a nice car in Detroit, the natural consequence of things that happen is to cause it to rust and to fall apart. When you tidy up your teenage son's room and it looks great, the natural consequence of the universe is to have that room look like a mess 3 seconds later when your son is in it. You get what I'm talking about? Entropy says that you've got to put as much energy in to keeping something in its perfect state or its state of order as there is energy trying to pull it away and to create disorder. Get the idea? That's why you wash your car. That's why you shine your shoes. That's why you brush your teeth, because there are things that want to put cavities in there and you're putting energy in to keep it clean. You got what I'm talking about? The evil one, the devil, wants to take you apart. The Lord wants you to choose to keep yourself together and to grow. You've got to make those choices and those behaviors that overcome those things that would pull you apart. And I'm going to get personal in a second, because I'm going to talk about choices that you make and I make. So there are a lot of choices to make. Do you think you're pretty good at making choices? Think pretty good, know where you're going? All right, I'm going to give you a test and find out. This will be an interactive sermon, okay? So it kind of fun. So close your eyes, raise your right hand up in the air. Put your point towards the ceiling. All right? On the count of 3, I want you to point north. 1, 2, 3, point north. Now, look around. Open your eyes. So we have north going here. My brother here, north is going here, some there. My sister back there, she said, forget north going either way. I'm going straight up to heaven. That's my north. All right. Is America a democracy? Good, it's a republic. Those who had green cards know that. We had to pass that on our test. But we're still going to use the democratic process. Let's figure out where north is. Down there. How many vote? Okay, we got 3, 4, 5. There. How many vote? 3. There. How many vote? 6. This way, how many vote? 6. We're pretty close, although this wins by 3 votes. So, you fly, ever go on an airplane? Who's flown lately? All right, okay, my sister back there. Yeah. When you get on the airplane, do they ask you to vote for the direction of north so the pilot knows which way to go? No, that's crazy. North is something that's going to be whether you like it or not. Our voting's not going to make any difference. And north is through there. You know how I know? I have a compass. And a compass always points north. You have choices in life to make. And you can vote to go this way, that way, or whatever you want. But this is the north that you need to navigate by. It's in the book. The manufacturer wrote the book. Just like Mrs. Honda wrote a book so you can look after the car, Mr. Hyundai or Mr. Toyota. They all wrote books, owner's manuals, so you can keep the car in good shape. Your manufacturer wrote a book. Read it. And that book, we have condensed the health principles into something called Creation Health. Creation Health, paralleling what used to be a program in the church called New Start, Creation Health has the 8 health principles. And the focus of those principles is indeed to help us recognize that God's got good news for us, plans to help us prosper and to help us to be well. So on the left-hand side are the causes of death in developing nations. On the right-hand side are the causes of death in the Western world, the developed world. In the developing nations, the causes of death: typhoons, floods, famines, HIV, AIDS, malaria, measles, things we don't see in the Western world. In the Western world, the causes of death: heart attack, cancer, road traffic accidents, stomach cancer, hypertension, heart disease. Let me make it simple for you. The people in the developing lands die because life happens to them: typhoons, earthquakes, famine, disease. The people in the developed world, the Western world, die by their choice and how they live. The Western world dies by lifestyle. The rest of the world dies because there is something they cannot control. You get what I'm saying? They don't get a choice how they're going to die. You are choosing every day how you're going to die. Now that's a sobering thought. Healthcare reform, and I'm going to skip through this very quickly, but the graph on the far right shows how much we spend in America per capita, which is easily 2 to 2.5 times any other developed nation. This shows you the infant mortality for America. On the far left, it is the highest of any developed nation. So we spend 2.5 times as much money on health care, and we have more babies dying? What's wrong with that picture? This shows you life expectancy. America is the second on the right, on the left, that yellow graph, showing an average life expectancy of let me see if I can see it here, 78 years. We are second from the bottom. We only outlive the people of Mexico. Japan is the top with 84 years. We spend twice the money of any of these. Is there something wrong when you spend twice as much money and you get really, really poor results? If you bought a car and you spent twice the amount of money on your car as I did on mine, and mine lasted better, did better than yours, you'd say, I got a junker. Healthcare in America has little to do with prevention. The rest of the world has got it. They're much more focused on prevention. We're focused on treatment. That's why we as a church and as a health system are trying to help people get into prevention. They're basic principles that you can follow for health and to find that. So I'm going to scoot through some of these things here. All right. So Creation Health follows this acronym: choice, rest, environment, activity, trust, interpersonal relationships, outlook, and nutrition. 8 different categories. All speak about creation, all talked about in the 5 books of Moses, all talked about in Scripture as principles by which we live. And I'm going to take you through these very quickly. The last of human freedoms is to choose one's way. Viktor Frankl from the Holocaust said that as they were stripping him of everything he had, his wedding ring, his gold teeth, he said to himself, they can take everything except my choice of how I will respond. They killed his family, but he still had the power to make a choice. Choice is something you make every night. When do the TV commercials come on for food? Late at night. And you decide that you're going to buy a pizza late at night because Domino's can get that in 30 minutes, right? So you make a choice. And you call Mr. Domino's and you say, Mr. Domino's, I'd like a pizza with extra cheese. Does Mr. Domino's care about your health? What's he care about? Selling pizzas. Here's my ideal world. I call Mr. Domino. No, you call Mr. Domino's at 11 o'clock. This is on you, girl. And he says, your name is Ruth. He says, Ruth, so nice to hear from you again. But our charts indicate that your cholesterol level is too high. You're not getting pizza. We want someone to say no for us because we can't say it for ourselves. That ain't never going to happen. Mr. Domino's wants your money. He doesn't care about your health. No one cares except you. It is your choice to choose life or to choose death, to choose how you cook and how you eat and how you have your family, to choose how you have your devotions, to choose how you serve. It is fundamental to who we are. The Creation Health Program spends a whole evening on choice. Your choices result in behaviors. Your behaviors, when repeated, become a culture. Think about family mealtime. When I was growing up, we all had to wash our hands, come to the table, and sit. And we sat, and we could not start to eat until who took the first bite? Mother. Mother was the key. When she ate, we could eat. Now, it was father for you? Okay, that's cool. We couldn't be dismissed from the table until what? You finished your plate and you were excused. That was the culture when I grew up. What's mealtime like now in America? You've got SpongeBob SquarePants at the table with you on iPhones and cell phones. You've got the TV going. There is no culture. All we're doing is sharing protein. We're not sharing a relationship. We're not talking about what was a day like. In my family, there were 5 of us, 5 kids. Mealtime was almost like a contact sport. And it was noisy. So there was a rule. Everybody gets a turn to speak. At the eldest to the youngest is 14 years younger than I am. And I was the noisy one, but I had to be quiet and wait for the others to talk. And when that youngest had a chance to talk, it was like the Queen of England opening Parliament. She was so proud. Everyone had their turn. That's what I mean by culture. That's what I mean by choices. There are churches that make choices about how they will live and love and serve amongst themselves, and you know it when you walk in. There are churches you go to that you don't want to leave after your first visit. There are churches you go to that you don't want to stay after the first 10 minutes. Why? We all worship the same God. We all have the same book. But we make different choices, don't we? And that's the purpose of God's transforming love. Rest. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. How many of you are tired? Physically tired? Relationally tired? America is under-rested and overtired. The favorite drink in America today is what? In the morning. Have your coffee. And then mid-morning, coffee again. If you're on the road and you go to 7-Eleven, you can have a Monster or a Power Bar or an energy thing. All these little energy supplements, I dare you next time you go to Circle K or Wawa or any of the places, count the number of different types of energy pills or drinks there are at that checkout counter. I got up to 17 once. Different brands. And I felt very comforted knowing that they're all approved by the FDA. Does Mr. Wawa care that those things could kill you? What's Mr. Wawa care about? Money. It's on you. It's your choice. You need to have at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, minimally 6. People who chronically have less than 6 hours of sleep a night have a shorter life. Proven. There are things in the book, and we're going to, Manishka and I are going to do some questions at the end, and you're going to get a book. Well, 10 of you will get books if you get the right answer, and we go on. The next one is environment. This is not about just being good stewards of the earth that God has given us and recycling and cleaning and protecting. This is about your personal environment. How many of you have ever watched the show Hoarders? When you finish watching that, do you feel like a neatnik? Uh-huh. In my ministry, I've cared for a number of people who have had that affliction, and it's scary. But you're all hoarders. You all have the hoarding gene. You don't believe me? I want you to take a mental memory picture of your bedroom closet before you moved in. The bedroom closet or the garage. What did it look like before you moved in? Whoa, big and open and clean. Now what's it look like? Some of your closets, you need the jaws of life to separate the clothes so you can hang something up there. That's what I'm talking about, your personal environment. As you have clutter in your life, it takes you away from focusing and making good choices. Now, I'm going to tell you how you are all hoarders, and I know it. Because I can go into any of your kitchens, and there is one drawer that I'm going to have trouble getting open. It's your junk drawer. You have tennis ball and garage door openers, you have hair scrunchies in there, you have gum in there, you've got crazy glue in there, and you can't open the door and you have to get a ruler to stick it in to hold the things down. I know you've got a drawer like that. But that's a metaphor for your life. Tidy it up. Clean it up. Activity. My wife is a physical therapist. I tease her by calling her a physical terrorist. But she has helped me learn to walk 3 times. You know, once you teach a little boy or a little child, the privilege of parenting is to help them learn to walk. She's taught me to walk 3 times as an adult. 1 for each knee that I've had replaced. And once when my pelvis, I was in a near-fatal car wreck. My pelvis was crushed and I was in a bed for 5 weeks. And learning to walk again was hard. All you need to do is walk for 30 minutes each day. Not stroll, but just take a good walk. And sustain it. That's all you don't have to go out and run a marathon or a triathlon. You need to move. And that's something you could do here quite easily. The handle on your recliner does not count as an exercise machine. So here's an interesting little thing. How many of you like M&Ms? Do you know the caloric energy that one little M gives you? If you wanted to physically exercise so that you used that up, how much exercise activity would you need to do to consume the energy that one M gives you? You have to jog the length of 2 football fields. Okay? I'll tell you what most of us do. We don't just pick up one little M, we take a handful and we walk to the couch and watch TV. And we can't figure out 3 weeks later why stuff's feeling a little snug. It's your choice. Trust. Such an important part. That's what Moses is about in Deuteronomy and Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers. Trust. You can trust. That's what God was trying to do with the children of Israel, with the pillar of fire at night, the cloud by day, leading them, teaching them to trust. That's what manna was about, teaching them how to trust Him. He's reliable. Who do you trust? Can you trust Him? Can you trust each other? Interpersonal relationships. How do we get along with each other? The Bible is big on forgiveness, and it needs to be. Because forgiveness is one of the things that helps life happen. About loving our neighbor as ourself. The next letter is outlook. When we take a look at our outlook, what's the future going to be like? Do you know what the future is going to be like? Is 2015 going to be a good year? We have no idea. Are the Bucks going to win in 2015? No, see, you know they're not going to win, but you don't know if it's going to be a good year. Right now, it's a great year for the Bucks because they're undefeated. It's a wonderful year. I have no idea what 2015 holds. But I do know who holds 2015. I know that God is good. So whatever happens in 2015 will be good. I said that in 2003 about 2004. And in April, in DC, one Friday evening, I was picking my daughter up from the subway. I just finished having prayer on the phone with one of my elders, and I left. A man ran a red light, T-boned our car, and that's where I crushed my pelvis, broke my arms, put me in the hospital. It was horribly challenging, but would I want to do it again? Yeah, it was a good year because God is good. What's your outlook like? Now we're going to come to the one that you all were afraid I'd get to, nutrition. What is the most unhealthy hour of the week? It's the hour right after church lets out called potluck. It's amazing what we serve each other at our potluck meals. So here's a lady at a restaurant. She says, I'm going to order a broiled skinless chicken breast, but I really want you to bring me lasagna and garlic bread by mistake. What we eat, we become. Down in Belize, as I'm talking to the people about the diabetes that is resplendent and prevalent there, I held up a white piece of bread and a small chocolate bar. I said, if you're diabetic, which of these is better for you? Everybody voted for the bread, but it's not. The chocolate bar is better. Because the chocolate bar has nuts and proteins. The white bread goes immediately to sugar. They didn't understand that. Did you know that? Did you know that white rice acts just like white bread? Did you know on the glycemic scale that goes from 0 to 100, 100 being high, i.e. instantly goes to sugar? Do you know what a white baked potato ranks on that? 110. It's sugar on steroids. It impacts your body. We have a program at the hospital we have called Full Plate Diet. And the premise is you're not eating enough to lose weight. And the enough, you're not eating nearly enough roughage. So if you're a diabetic and you want to eat fruit, what's a better fruit, watermelon or orange? Don't know, huh? Go home and Google glycemic index. Watermelon has a point value of 72. Orange has a point value of something like 58. Grapefruit is 52. So go home and have grapefruits if you want to have fruit and lower your blood sugar. You need to know these things, and that's what we'll be teaching. So, you've heard that America is overweight, haven't you? This is a map that starts in 1985. Every state is color-coded by the percent of morbid obese population within it. Morbid obesity is a body mass index greater than 30. Your ideal body mass index is 25 to 27. If you have morbid obese, you have problems with blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. You're susceptible to heart attacks and strokes. But hey, in America, you just have to take a pill and get rid of those, right? No. If you want to see what diabetes will do, talk to Pastor James, and I'll arrange a field trip for you to come to our wound care centers where people with diabetes come praying that that foot ulcer will heal so they can walk again. You know, when you can't walk, you can't work. When you can't work, you don't get money. When you don't get money, you can't pay the rent and pay the car and pay the light. I mean, it messes with life. This isn't something you just take a pill and forget. So we're going to go forward in 5-year increments, 1985 up to 1990. Now, some of you were just born around this period of time. And so here we are. We see that most of America started reporting to the CDC. And you see that the majority of the country has about a 10 to 15% morbid obesity index by state, okay? You with me? You all got what we're doing here? You all picked your favorite state? Let's go up 5 more years. We'll go up to 1995. What's happening? We're eating. We're eating. The dark blue is 15 to 20% morbid obesity, right? So, after 1995 came the millennium. Remember, do you guys remember Y2K? Let's go up and see how we brought in the change of the millennium. Oh boy, we did it right. We did it big. Now the yellow is more than 20% morbid obesity. Around now, you're hearing stories from Jenny Craig, not Full Plate Diet, but Jenny Craig and all these different things. You got to lose weight. South Beach Diet, the Pritikin Diet, the Fox Diet, Slim for Life. We'll mail it to you, and you can have the food, right? Do you think people don't know that obese lifestyle is dangerous? Is there anybody in America who does not know that more weight is unhealthy? No, it's not a problem of knowing, it's a problem of doing. So here's how we celebrated the millennium. Let's see how we did by 2005. Whoa. Look at that. More than 30% of Texas is morbidly obese. Is that enough? Are you scared enough? Let me take you a little farther. There you are, 2010. Texas and all those states down there. So here's the issue. Does healthcare cost the country a lot now? You saw that we're spending 2.5 times more than any other developed nation. Do you think having 30% of Texans with heart attack, stroke, diabetes is going to make that cost go up or down? Up by spades. Here's the thing. This is a map showing the adult population of America. I can show you the same map showing you children. We have children who have what we used to call adult onset diabetes, getting it at 10. We have young adults, 18, 19, having strokes. We're putting stents into the hearts of 21-year-old kids. For the first time in the history of this country, the children of this generation have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. Something's wrong. Something's wrong when you spend all this money and you get such horrible outcomes. Something's wrong when the wealthiest, most scientifically advanced nation in the world has its children with a shorter life expectancy than its parents. Something's wrong when that very country is just above Mexico in life expectancy and below many other smaller countries. Something's wrong when we, as a people who know so much, don't reach out and help our neighbors find hope. You can be that place of hope. For nutrition, do you know how much water you should drink a day? Half your body weight in ounces, or divide your body weight by 50. That's the number of liters you should drink a day. That's a lot of water. But water is like changing your oil. All those things that can happen. Learning how to cook. How many graduated from high school in the last 10 years? Anybody here graduate in the last 10 years? Did they teach you home ec and cooking? Didn't teach you a thing about nutrition, did they? We can teach nutrition in cooking schools here. You know how to do it. We just need to do it. And that's why I'm so delighted to have Manushka and Pastor James with their interest in helping this happen. And we as a hospital health system are interested in helping churches do what they want to do. We're not going to do it for you. We're going to help you express your ministry as you're part of that. So Manushka, come on up and let's ask some questions. You want to bring up, and we'll get someone who can be a volunteer for a runner. We have some questions that we're going to ask you to see if you were listening, right? So the first question, and you got to put your hand up to get an answer. On what day is Florida Hospital holding the free screening for the heart thing? My brother in the back.
February 13th.
Very good. He gets a book. He gets a book. All right. Let's see here. When Moses was speaking to the children of Israel, Deuteronomy chapter 30, he told them to choose something. What did he tell them to choose? He told them to choose something. What was it, dear? Life. He said, I set before you life and death. Choose life. She gets a book. Very good. And these are great books. You'll enjoy reading them. When did they circumcise male babies in the Bible? Yes. 8th day. She gets a book. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to tell you, but that was kind of fun. I'll have to tell you that later. Maybe another day I'll be able to do that. If you have diabetes and I offer you a piece of white bread or a chocolate bar, what's the better thing to have? My sister in the back who likes pizza. No, not you, the one behind you.
Chocolate bar.
Right, very good. Very good. So since you both went up at the same time, I'll take my sister in the front. This is the skill testing question for you, okay? See if you can get this right. Which day did God give us as restoration, recognizing that we as a people need to be restored in our relationships, we need to have physical rest, and we have to restore interpersonally and with Him. Which day of the week is the day of restoration? Seventh day. Very good. She gets a book. She gets a book. All right, here's a question I didn't give you an answer to, but I want you to tell me the answer. What's the number one health issue of the people surrounding this church? No, you've already got a book. You can't answer. What do you think it is? Yes.
Lack of knowledge.
Who?
Lack of knowledge.
No, that's not a health issue. Yes, next to the pizza lady.
Spiritual death?
No. Number one health issue in this community. Yeah, what? Obesity, close, but no cigar. Nope. You were? No. They're talking here amongst themselves. Go ahead. What'd you say? Yes, diabetes. She gets a book. Diabetes is your number one issue in this community. Followed by diabetes is asthma, then obesity, and prenatal health care for babies, low birth weight babies. We can help you look at the specific health dynamics in this zip code. So what you do, and you go around and talk to people, they're going to say, well, yeah, I know somebody who's got that. That can work out. Manishka, you got any questions you want to ask? Oh, no, they're gonna, we had 10. We had 10 books we said we'd give them out. 10 books. All right, so here, I want to know if anybody knows the answer to this one, because this is one of my favorite parts of Deuteronomy. What is a biblical honeymoon? A year. Very good. Now, did you get a book? You haven't got a book yet? She gets a book. Deuteronomy 24, verse 5. When a man takes a woman to be his wife, he shall neither go out and work, nor shall he serve in the army. He shall remain at home with her for 1 year to bring her joy. That's a biblical honeymoon. So ladies, at Sabbath lunch, I want you to talk to the gentleman in your lives and say, buddy, you owe me 52 or 50 weeks or 48 weeks. Got to get it right. Other dimensions. People need to have how much sleep a night? Yes. 6 to 8. Very good. She gets a book. How many minutes should you be active a day to have health? Yes, sir. 30 minutes. We get a book over here. You said it as well? All right. Okay, so let's drop a book off here because that was a tie. It's really tough in church on Sabbath when we start fighting over books. I don't want that. I want to keep the peace here. Keep the peace. Make it work. All right? Here's the next question. And I've got to think about the question. All right. Choice, scripture. What is it? Oh. Number one way to prevent getting the flu. You, sir, with the lady draped around your neck. Wash your hands. Very good. Give him a book. No books? Okay, you heard it, and we're all your witnesses. Manishka owes you a book. You have the knowledge and the opportunity to transform this community, to help them choose life. And that's critically important. Let me pray with you as we close. Our Lord, you have set before us the teachings of life. You've called our hearts to make a difference for others by being faithful and glorifying you. Help this church, the Church of Carrollwood, choose life for themselves, and choose life for their neighbors. I pray in Christ's name. Amen.